Hey, what's going on, everybody? So I wanted to do an update on the market today, talk about the price action, some of the things related to macro that are impacting our crypto markets, news and events that are reshaping our industry, such as Celsius and Luna and Microstrategy. And then we're just going to discuss an overall methodology and approach to what happens in a bear market and the psychology of how you can delay or not make mistakes, further compounding into your losses, either by FOMOing or trying to put on high leverage trades or trying to trade the chop. So today's goal is to kind of just give you a lay of the land of where we are in crypto and just to talk about price action and opportunities that we have in crypto. So let's get started first with Bitcoin price action. One of the most unique things about crypto is that you can look to the top asset, which is Bitcoin, as sort of the indicator of how bullish and bearish things are for the rest of crypto. And that makes for a very good signal to understand how bullish or how positive the money flow is for altcoins. And we know very well in terms of Bitcoin, whether you want to believe that this top right here was the top of Bitcoin here in March and April 2021, or this top right here in November 2021 was the actual top. Either way, we are now almost either 7 or 8 months into a bear market, or from this area right here, we're almost a year and a half into a bear market. Actually, I'm sorry, almost a year and 2 months or so into a bear market. Either way, what the current market conditions tell you is there are some similarities. If you were around in crypto from 2016 and 17 and 18 days, there are definitely some similarities of what we're seeing now in terms of that part of the cycle. But there's also dissimilarities in something completely new that's happening in the market, which is a very accelerated sell-off in that everything is breaking in ways that we've not seen previously before. Let me give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. First of all, if you actually look at Bitcoin from the weekly perspective, right? I want to give y'all some positives on this first. From the weekly perspective, we see that the 200 EMA and the 200 MA, which are the weekly moving averages right here, right? Historically, back in 2015, bottom of the bear market, back here in 2020, as well as back here in 2018, we bounced off either one or both of these and then resumed a pretty significant uptrend. And guess what? We're coming to that same price right now as we speak. So if you want to use these past indicators to project future price action, then one could sort of surmise that this is either a temporary bottom or the bottom to start the leg of a new cycle in the market. Now, the unique caveat to the current cycle, which you cannot ignore, is the surrounding picture to crypto. Never has crypto faced a tightening Fed, a interest rate hiking environment, a recessionary environment, a global macro slowdown environment. Bitcoin has enjoyed the last 10 or so years with pretty loose monetary policy around the world, as well as a pretty good, laborious a job market that's doing good, right? We've never faced an environment that is tough from the get-go from the macro perspective. Okay, so I just wanted to keep that in mind. Now, as we dive into the monthly, right? You can go to my TradingView post and you can review this monthly chart right here. I have a monthly post right here called Bitcoin has hit a temporary bottom as per my indicators. Okay, this is my monthly sort of chart that I laid out. And I'll show you all exactly what I mean. Okay, so if we dive into the January 2015 bear market, right? Once we hit this top in November 2013, we had a sideways consolidation and a breakdown of price action. And that was actually shown by a bear cross on the MACD right there. This purple line that you see, the vertical line, indicates a bear cross on the MACD. Now, if you're not familiar with the MACD, it's just moving average, conversion, and divergence indicator. It effectively implies that what kind of momentum are we getting to the upside or the downside, and is that momentum starting to turn? And these turns where you see this yellow line right here switch above this purple line indicates a bearish turn. When the turn happens where the yellow line is below the purple line, it indicates a bullish turn, right? And so does the histogram. The histogram down here, which is these bars, are effectively an indicator of how strong is that momentum getting to the downside and how strong is that momentum getting to the upside, indicated by the brightness of the bars. So back here in 2013 and 15, and then back here in 2015, all the way to about, back here in about 2017 to about 2019, the two things that have always stuck out to me is, first of all, when you get this MACD bear cross, like I just showed you right there, and here in the 2018 cycle, where we had a bear cross on the MACD in 2018 June, you are bound to get multi-month, downtrend price action. It's, at least based on the past two cycles, that's what's been guaranteed. And historically, we've had about an 85, 84% drawdown from the highs. Currently, Bitcoin, let's just say if this was the high right here, right? Currently, we're only down about 68 to 69%. If we were to get an 84 to 85% drawdown again, that pushes price to somewhere around $10,000 to $12,000, something like that. Like, let's just say, 11.5 to 12. Okay. That is a pretty deep sell-off. But the other caveat to this is maybe price action doesn't need to reflect 80 to 85% drawdowns again. Maybe this part is enough. And this is further supported by our other indicators, which are the CVIDX, which is sort of like a RSI indicator. And again, if you're not familiar with the RSI, it's effectively a momentum indicator of indicating how overbought, oversold things are. Can they get back to neutral levels and then bounce up again to find key areas of momentum and either bounce up or bounce down. Okay, and that level for Bitcoin on a monthly basis, you can see, has been supported by this line right here on the RSI, which is the 44 level, and the CVIDX, which is also the 44 level right there. Guess what? We're bouncing right into that level right as we speak in the middle of June right now. So as per our indicators, we've basically sort of sufficed all necessary indicator analysis to give us an idea that we've quite possibly, bottomed, and either that means a temporary bottom or the bottom, I'm not quite sure. But these indicators, if you want to use the past few cycles as an example, then you have to give it some credence right here and say, okay, there's something here. I don't know what it is. I don't know if this is the bottom, but you can kind of say that, you know what, I might want to start taking a stab, right? Now, the problem with this, like I said before, is the macro picture inevitably is significantly worse, right? One thing that has been plaguing the entire environment of economies around the world, supply chains, as well as investments, such as crypto and US stocks, is inflation. Inflation, specifically related to oil, food prices, energy prices, has been probably the most hard-hitting thing for most people in America, most people around the world. And as we can see today, once again, right, oil is still slowly grinding up and ticking up. And this is probably the worst thing, because generally it is oil that makes things, even more expensive, because oil is required to move food from one part of the country to another, from one part of the world to another. It's required for cargo ships and trucks and other shipping lines and aircrafts. So oil, as it's getting more and more expensive, is effectively one of the main contributors to inflation. And then, of course, we have, the COVID worries, which is further accelerating the congestion of supply chains, right? All these things. I get it that, the macro picture looks shitty, it looks bleak, and we can't do anything about it, right? What we can, however, control is recognizing where we are in an asset class that is supposed to be innovative. Again, supposed to be innovative, right? Now, I'll give some positives about crypto and I'll give some negatives. Positives about crypto is I truly believe that we are in one of the most unique asset classes that the world has ever seen. Unfortunately, so far, we've also kind of developed this sort of gambling attitude, this egotistical attitude in crypto where we feel like almost everything in crypto is infallible, right? And everything is supposed to, exist and everything is supposed to be as is. And I think that's a pretty bad attitude because if you've kind of noticed that, if you look around you, okay, let me pull up this chart right here, right? The further you go back into the quarters, or if you go back, let's just say, all the way to November 2021, where we basically hit that top, right? A lot of these assets, a lot of these assets are down almost, let me see. When we topped in the market cycle, right, from November right there, a lot of these assets are down, 70, 80, 90, 100%, or not 100%, sorry, 90, 95% from their highs, okay? Basically measuring from the November high that we have. And especially from their all-time highs, they might be down, even more, right? Because some of them actually hit different all-time highs somewhere around February or something, right? So you can kind of see that depending on how you change this time scale, a lot of them are down at minimum 40, 50, 70%. So what does that tell us? Well, that tells us the fragility of our market, and it tells us that we still have a lot of building ahead of us, okay? The one other thing that I find interesting is that if you actually look at this chart right here, okay, historically, from the previous cycle in November 2013 to the bottom of the bear market here in 2018, we had almost 168% gap between this high of the market and this low of the bear market. Currently, from the high of previous 2017 bull market, we're only up about 11.4%. And that gap is slowly shrinking, right? So the problem here is you have to first accept the reality that we have effectively maybe created a new precedent in the market where the past cycles may not be completely usable, where we could say, oh, well, Bitcoin has never dug into the previous all-time high like this, so why should it do it this time? Well, the fact of the matter is this time is, uniquely different, right? The macro picture is significantly worse. The Fed itself is creating a ton of pressure on the stock market, on the crypto markets to effectively remove money from those markets, make those investments even tougher and tougher. And that is simply to curb inflation, to remove money out of people's hands, and to basically pose a slight risk to the markets as well as the economy. Now, you can debate whether this is right or wrong, but it doesn't matter. The fact is that it's happening. And the question is, how are you going to react to it? Well, I'll tell you guys exactly what I'm doing, as well as what our community has been doing so far. And by the way, you can join our community here at thealphatrades.com. You can hit the products page and you can join our Advantage membership subscription for $97 per month. And you'll get videos like this at least twice a day as a member. I do public videos maybe, once a week or once every 2 weeks now, just because I feel like there's just so much toxicity in the market. No one really wants to learn, right? Bear markets is where people just get grumpy and angry and very emotional. But in fact, it's actually bear markets where one needs to do far more research and really put their head down and start doing the work. And our community is all about doing the work. We're constantly sharing ideas. We're constantly sharing alpha in our community of exactly what we should be looking for in the market, what potential investment opportunities are out there, what trades are out there, what could we be looking at for the next 3 months, 6 months, 1 year perspective. So if you are that kind of person who wants to do more research, come join our Advantage membership. $97 per month gives you access to our full Discord channel, all the private channels. I put out a ton of analysis in here, a ton of trading opportunities as well. Just a pretty simple opportunity that I pointed out just the other day was I mentioned that FLM could be a short somewhere around 39 to 44 cents right up here around this R5 pivot. And guess what? I think after that, FLM basically collapsed. I think almost 50 to 60% from that high, as you could see. I think two of our members told me that they got into that trade. So that made me extremely happy because people are generally looking for low risk opportunities in the current market conditions. But most people right now are looking for the highest risk opportunities because they feel like they have not lived up to their all-time high performance of P&L. They feel like they missed out on the bull market, so they have to now perform in the bear market. You really don't, right? Your job right now is survival. If you could survive now and you can make it to the next bull market, you will be just fine. But the bear markets are truly grueling and almost everyone gets punished, okay? It's a fact of life, and it sucks for everybody, right? And there's no single fund out there that's doing amazingly well in crypto. I promise you, a majority of them have gotten hit. Okay, here's a perfect example of what's happening to the biggest holders of crypto, of Bitcoin, and other cryptos. For example, Microstrategy is very cautiously coming close to a potential margin call. Now, I personally think that their price is lower than 20,000 or something, but either way, you cannot ignore the fact that MicroStrategy, the CEO and the board is not looking at Bitcoin price action and saying, holy shit, what do we do? We are now stuck, between a rock and a hard place. If this thing keeps going down further and further, we don't know what's going to happen to our funds. Will we have to dump all that Bitcoin onto the market? And if they do dump that Bitcoin onto the market, well, who will be the buyer and how low can that price go? Right, so you can see there are multiple risks being posed by some of the biggest holders like MicroStrategy. There's other issues from other crypto native funds out there too, such as Celsius, which is a project that is done with loans and staking and passive income that people park their money into. And Celsius currently has a ton of collateral. They have like $500 million worth of Bitcoin, and that I think they also have another $500 million of Ethereum and other assets. Well, they also have a liquidation price, meaning if price starts getting below this level, 16,852, well, this amount of money plus more might be getting dumped onto the market. Once again, the question is, who will be the buyer at that point? Or will that create a March COVID 2020 style of event where we see a massive wick to the downside and hopefully there's some buyer out there that's going to absorb all this? We don't know, right? So as you can see, MicroStrategy having unrealized losses, Celsius having unrealized losses, and then of course you have on-chain liquidations that are also adding up a good amount of money that may get dumped in liquidations, such as Maker and Aave, which have liquidations of about $700 million and $300 million in Bitcoin. You could kind of see that there is a ton of money at risk if the market were to keep going down. Now, I want to add one final thing, which is if you read this quick thing, you can pause the video right now if you're watching this on YouTube and just look at the last little paragraph right here, okay? This is effectively in a simple sentence of how markets work and how there are predatory behaviors in the market when one whale, one big entity sees that they can liquidate and take the assets out of the hands of another. It is effectively that Matone said, when you're down by half, people figure you can go down all the way. They're going to push the market against you. They're not going to roll into your trades. You're finished, right? So effectively, whether it's MicroStrategy or Celsius or Aave, any one of these or all of them are now painted with a target on their back, because there are inevitably someone with deeper pockets who is going to look at the market and say, if we pressure the market down enough, there's a lot of assets that we could collect and a lot of sort of shorts that we can close into effectively, right? Because if you're pushing the price down and you're shorting the market down, well, then you need someone as a buyer to start liquidating their position at a certain point. And if they have a good amount of money, then they're basically going to sort of close out into your asks, right? So you're effectively closing your position with a good amount of liquidity that will get liquidated due to Aave and Maker and Celsius and MicroStrategy. Okay, so this is the risk that is posed. Now the question is, does the market and do markets move in a straight line down? And the answer inevitably is no, right? Unfortunately, the problem with that is that the market has not been moving in a straight line down. In fact, it has provided slight relief bounces, but nothing that is big to start anywhere close to a short squeeze or a new bull market or any of that. It has effectively given you very, very tiny relief bounces in context of this large trend. And then it just keeps trending down sideways, and then it keeps trending down. So the question is, right now, do you believe that the market has hit the bottom or even a temporary bottom? And if so, where could the market go from here? Well, I'll tell you right now, okay? Here's my thought process on the market as a whole. I believe that we've hit probably a temporary bottom based on the indicator analysis, and we may chop either sideways into a range right here, maybe go up slightly and maybe then come back down. But with so much money at risk, whether it's from Celsius, Aave, and Maker, as well as MicroStrategy, as well as just the fragility of the crypto market so far, it seems almost necessary for the market to pressure down further. So more and more people might panic out of their positions, and that creates a mass fear and just insane amount of liquidity that will be brought into the market that would not have been brought at these levels. Right? Almost no one really expects Bitcoin to go under the previous all-time high. In the same way, almost no one expected Ethereum to break into the previous all-time high, but it did. And the fact that it did is probably generating a lot of fear, a lot of panic, a lot of shoring up of money to start either hedging or putting on protection, or getting ready to pull the trigger if it starts to roll over again. And you could see why that creates such a dangerous phase in the market, because if markets go down further, everybody will come out of the woodwork and start really just panicking out of their position. And that creates once in a lifetime opportunities and once in a lifetime events where if you've done research in the market and you feel like, okay, I want to be a buyer of Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana or avax or whatever, right? If you believe that, then you may get once in a lifetime opportunities at some of these levels. I've laid out some of these levels for my Advantage members, but I'll show them to you as well. You may get an opportunity for Solana to hit below a key weekly and monthly level, below $18 or $19. AVAX might get all the way to $10. You might get Matic to come below 30 cents. You might get CRV to get below 32 cents, right? So you could kind of see that there's going to be crazy opportunities. NEAR might come down another 50%, go down to $1.50. The point is that as of right now, what you need to be cautious about is being very careful with leverage in the market, managing your risk properly, and just making sure that you calm down, make the right decisions, and don't pull the trigger too early. Do not pull the trigger too early on the downside, because it is the worst thing that you could do, because if the market keeps going against you, you're going to have no ammo to fight back, right? If you're short and you get squeezed on the way up, that's okay. At least the momentum is on your side and you were wrong on a trade. But again, leverage small, position small, risk small, okay? Again, none of this is financial advice, right? I'm here to show you exactly how I trade and how I analyze the markets. But I'm just letting you guys know that if you manage your risk, you manage your potential liquidation levels, and you manage your leverage, you will be fine overall at these trading conditions, okay? It is best to just not trade this stuff right now, just because majority of people are probably going to get chopped to death. But if you really feel like trading and you feel like you want to be a gambler in this market, well, at least manage your own risk, right? That's the best I could tell you. Okay. So with all this being said, one thing I want to urge caution to you guys is don't forget that you are still, once again, in crypto in a unique space that is truly growthful, growth worthy and innovative. And there are certain assets that I'm watching very, very carefully, such as Bitcoin and Ethereum, of course. I'm watching Solana very carefully. I'm watching AVAX very carefully. I'm also a big fan of, Stargate Finance and Synapse Protocol. We've written articles on this on our Substack talking about bridges. We've written articles about Curve Finance. Once again, you can find this on our Substack. We've written also articles about other sort of interesting areas in the market. Like we just wrote an article about music NFTs. Are they going to be a huge thing? I don't know, but it helps and it pays to do research when the market is in a true bear market, right? Because research and the big winners of the next bull market are going to be created in the bear market of now. So you want to be paying attention to what's happening here in the bear market. And you want to make sure that you do enough research to recognize, okay, do I want to be a buyer of this thing at X price or Y price? If so, what is my invalidation level? How long do I want to hold for? How many of these do I want to buy? What kind of portfolio allocation I want to have, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Again, all these things we talk about in depth in our Advantage community. You can join here, thealphatrace.com, Advantage membership right there. And it gives you access to our full Discord channel, all channels unlocked, tons of alpha. And if you have any questions, shoot me a message, join our Discord, write me a comment on YouTube. Let me know if you like this video. I would really appreciate a thumbs up. So please give us a thumbs up so I can put out more content like this if y'all do like it, okay? Good luck, everybody. Take care. I hope you guys are doing well. I wish you the best of luck in the bear market and the hopefully coming bull market whenever we do have it. Please do manage your risk. Please do take care of yourself, your health, your emotions, your family. And we'll talk to you soon. Cheers.